Alright, YouTube, David Harry here, and in this video I'm going to show you an amazingly bad problem with all iPhones, but something that is going to massively affect anyone using iPhone 13s who are recording like large video files, as you would do if you're using the camera functions properly, especially with ProRes and stuff, because that will generate pretty big files. Anyway, what I'm going to do is try and jump in and show you as quickly as possible two big issues here. Now, there is a technical explanation for this. I will leave it till the end of the video, so please do hang around to understand exactly what the problem is here. But I will show you the issues and then talk about them. Okay, so what I've got here is a Samsung T7 SSD, and then what I've got here is one of the official Apple USB 3 to what they call it, camera adapter. It's basically a USB 3 interface. And then obviously there's my iPhone. I'm using an iPhone 13 mini. But like I say, these problems are going to massively affect anyone on the Pro variants who are using large files. I mean, it's still a problem on this, so I can only imagine how bad it's going to get for anyone on the Pros. Anyway, I'm just going to reset the camera focus in and show you the first issue. Okay, so I'm all zoomed in now, and as we can see here, there is a location that says 1TB T7 SSD. So that is in fact my little Samsung SSD there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to on my iPhone, because I've got a file here which is conveniently on the internal storage. So what I'm going to do now is copy this file. So here we go, so copy. Now let me go over to the T7. Let me just come down to blank space here, and then I will hit paste. And this is where the fun starts now, so paste. Now, up here, there is a little indicator to tell us how long this is taking. So that little circle there, which is going to start kind of going through and giving us an indication of how long this file takes. Now, just remember, this is only 3 gigabytes, and 3 gigabytes is absolutely nothing for video files, especially when you're using ProRes. Now, it's not because ProRes itself doesn't mean that the files become more difficult to move. ProRes just means that you are naturally going to be using much higher bit rates than what you would do if you were using, say, compressed formats or heavily compressed formats. Don't forget, ProRes is a compressed format, but nowhere near as heavily compressed as H.264 or H.265. So, like I say, just it being ProRes a file on say a 13 Pro or something like that, or a 13 Pro Max, where you might have huge amounts of storage internally for shooting video. It's not that the ProRes file makes it difficult to move. It's just by virtue it's going to create a bigger file. However, you could be shooting 4K using H.264, H.265, or whatever it is that you're choosing as far as the codec is concerned. And if you've been out shooting all day and you get stuck somewhere and you've got to kind of back things up and stuff like that, look at this. I mean, you've seen how long I've been talking for. This is only 3 gigabytes. Now, even before it's finished, look, I can't touch the file. It won't let me. Now, look at this. Now it's going to finish. Finished. Now I can hit the file now. There we go. Okay, so I've hit that file there. Now, here's the thing. That was only 3 gigabytes, okay? That is insane. That just took absolutely forever to do. So imagine you are, say, on a shoot or something, or you've gone out to do a ton of filming, and then you start filling up your internal storage on your iPhone, especially I say one of the 13s, and you've gone out shooting all kinds of mad ProRes stuff. You have to back that off somehow. This is the fastest way for you to do that, and that was only 3 gigabytes. Now what I'm going to do here, this is going to be fun. Watch this. So let's just pretend you're on, say, a larger sized phone. So you might be on, say, a Pro Max or something. And then what you want to do is have files put back onto the phone, because you might want to do some basic editing on the phone. Whatever packages you might want to use, LumaFusion or something. So let's just pretend that you want to drag some files back. Anyway, so let's do this. I'm going to go here to the internal storage. I'm now going to delete this file. Now what I'm going to do is copy the other file back now. So this is just an exercise in moving something back to the phone because we want to edit on the phone. Okay, so I'm going to get this file here. Remember, it's just only 3 gigabytes. So watch this. I'm going to click on it and then hit copy. Now I'm going to go back here And then I'm going to go back to the location there for the iPhone there, internal memory. Now, watch this. I can't select any. I can't select to paste. Now I'm going to have to keep just trying this, because what's happening right now, or my assumption is, there is some kind of weird pre-buffer going on, or pre-caching of the file. So this feels to me as if what's happening is the iPhone or the operating system is basically trying to allocate somewhere to put the file before it then puts it to where you want to write it to. But unfortunately, you have got no indication here as to what is going on. Look. The phone, the operating system isn't saying to you, hold on a minute, I'll be with you in a second. There's no indication coming up here to tell you what is going on. So right now, you would rightfully think to yourself, hold on a minute, this is obviously crashed or hung, when it actually has not. And don't forget, this is only one file. The problem becomes more compounded when you start using multiple files. And indeed, there's instances where it doesn't copy or move all of the files if it's a very large movement of a lot of files, which total a very large amount of storage space. Now, I'm sorry to drag this out, but I am not padding the video out for time or anything. I'm just trying to give you a real-world example of exactly what's going on here. Now, of course, if you were on LumaFusion, you could just access the data directly. But even then, I'll show you another problem that we have, because you can't really do that on the iPhone because of lightning. Oh, come on, this is boring. Right. Look, just bear with me on this one, because if you're seriously thinking about using a 13 with large files, you have to know about these problems. Oh, come on, what's going on? Right now, I should be getting the option to tap and then do paste, okay. Oh, come on, hurry up. Now, this feels to me as if it's doing the same amount of time to basically pre-buffer or pre-cache that file for it to come back off the T7 back to the internal storage. So we can still navigate around. Oh yeah, finally. Okay, right. So see what's happened there. That has taken an absolute age, because I believe that what's going on is that it's pre-buffering. I'll get to that at the end of the video. Now watch this, paste. Now look at this. It's saying that the file is only 16 megabytes, okay. At which point you're thinking, hold on a minute, that's not right. No, but look up in the corner. There is the same little kind of indication as to how long the file's gonna take. Now, what's happened, that time that it took before I could actually select to paste, as you could see, I kept on trying to paste, but it wouldn't allow me. I think what's going on is the file has to be pre-buffered first somewhere, and that's got to be the internal storage, and then it will allow you to then paste it to the location where you want it to go to. So in effect, it has got to move the file twice, and obviously it's doing it mega slow. In fact, you know what? The time that it's taken to do this paste now is probably feels like the kind of time that it was taken in order for us to get the initial movement from it. I mean, I look at that clock sometimes and I think, and is that actually really moving? Is that indicator moving? And this is the problem. Imagine if you're out in the field and you're up the wall trying to do stuff. There's no way you're going to be sitting there putting up with this kind of nonsense. Anyway, it's nearly done. But like I said, I'm doing this in real time just so you know exactly how long these things take. It is absolutely horrendous. Okay, hurry up, will ya? Now what we'll find out now, there we go. So it's done it, and it obviously is there, so that's all good. Okay, so that took like twice as long as it should have done. And even if it was only half that time, it's way too long, and it's only a 3 gigabyte file. Now, here is another problem. So, and this will also affect people on LumaFusion, because even though LumaFusion can access external storage, I've only ever done that actually on iPad Pros and stuff over USB-C. I'm assuming the same thing can happen over Lightning on a 13 or something like that. Now, here's the problem though. If I go to this external storage here, right, these files are marked up conveniently with their bit rates, okay? So this first file is a 50 megabits per second file, okay? So let me just play a bit of it. Okay, that's going to play right the way through, dead easy, okay? Now just remember, although I'm just accessing the data from the external storage to play it, or basically stream it to the phone to play it, this in effect is what you would do if you use something like LumaFusion, assuming that LumaFusion 3 can do the same function on an iPhone as it does over USB-C on an iPad Pro. Now, let's go to the 100 megabits per second. Now, remember, these are megabits, not megabytes. So in terms of megabytes, we're talking an eighth of that is the megabyte version, okay? So these are megabits. Now, here's the 100 megabits one. Okay, so that was okay. Now here's a 200 megabits per second version. Now look at that. Okay, now it definitely won't do the 400 megabits. So as soon as we got to the 200, but basically I reckon that's going to crap out at about 150, okay? Now what's important for you to understand here, this is only trying to play the files, but at 200 megabits, and it'll actually have started below that bit rate. It can't play the files in real time. It's not that the phone is not capable of like decoding the file. As we've seen, the 400 megabit variant when it was internal was fine. This is now down to the problem with the bit rate or the data rate over the Lightning port. Okay, so that's me examples done with this. So what I'm going to do is just kind of explain a few things now. So what I'm going to do now is just go over the two problems and technically what they are. The first problem here is the Lightning port itself, or rather the maximum data rate that the Lightning port can support. From what I understand, it is akin to USB 2 speeds. So we're talking absolutely nowhere near the speeds that we would need to transfer data in and out of the iPhone. Now this becomes a massive problem now because of the huge types of video files that people are able to like basically create inside an iPhone 13. So you're going to be sitting there with massive files and only able to like get them in and out of the phone for backing off purposes or moving to your NLE and stuff like that. You're only going to be able to do these at ridiculously low speeds akin to USB 2. Now the second problem here is also, as we've seen when we were trying to put files back in, is the fact that the operating system and the file manager are absolute garbage at being able to handle file management. It just does it ridiculously bad. Now, as I was saying before, I'm surmising that what's going on here is that when you say copy a file externally, internally, it initially pre-caches it somewhere in the internal storage. That's the only thing that I can think of. And then it'll then put it to the location where you tell it to go to. Now, that makes the actual slow process twice as slow, and you're seeing how slow it was with just a 3 gig file. But here's another problem. If you want to do really big files, at some point you are going to exceed the spare amount of storage on the internal space of the phone. So as a for instance, let's just say you had, I don't know, let's just say you had 50 gigabytes spare inside the phone, right? And you wanted to move 40 gigabytes worth of files into the phone. What happens at that point? Because I'm going to have to surmise here that initially it would move the 40 gigabytes to the predetermined cache that it's got, which has to chew up inside that 50 gig that's spare. But once it's there, you definitely can't then go repasting it to somewhere else because there would only be 10 gigs spare at that point. Now, there might be a different routine where it constantly does a swap file between the 40 that it's already put somewhere weird and then start like, you know, like basically moving bits of it to the 10 that's left, delete a bit in the 40, move it to the 10, delete about the 40, move it to the 10. However it does it, it is going to be an absolute pain, right? So like I say, two problems here. The speed of lightning itself, which is horrendously slow, and also Apple's real bogus file management system. And I do have to reiterate the point here again. If you think that you can go out with an iPhone 13, I mean, what did he go up to? Is it a terabyte or something now? If you go out and start doing serious filming, start like filling up your, your internal storage, you have to back it off. So can you imagine having to say move, I don't know, 200 gigabytes, for instance, which in the global scheme of things still isn't a huge amount of data if you're doing 4K or high bitrate video recording. Imagine that. You've seen how long 3 gigs took. Imagine 200 gigs, or imagine even half a terabyte having to be backed off so you can clear space on your iPhone to continue filming. The whole thing is just terrible. And I have to say right now, this has to be the clearest indication of why Apple should have gone to USB 3, or at the very least put Thunderbolt on. There's no reason why they couldn't have put Thunderbolt on this. I know Apple have got their reasons for not wanting to use USB-C. Some of them are technical. Most of them are to just do it so they can keep rehashing their own proprietary interface. However, they could have used Thunderbolt, and the thing is with that would have been even faster again. So, all these things just don't stack up. Apple have proper seriously let down any high-end or even pro users who want to use these phones for serious creative work to do with proper full-on video using ProRes and all the fancy new functions that the phones do. Anyways, right, I've got really wound up here. I'm going to dive off, but if anyone's got through this video, hopefully this has shown them exactly the type of problems that anyone shooting on iPhone 13 is going to have to put up with. Now the thing is, I've already done another video which shows this exact same setup, and I've showed a small file being transferred. I didn't make any complaints in that video, only because at the end of the day you will have to do it this way if you want to move the data. You have no options. So that other video that I've done clearly shows a smaller file. I didn't do it on purpose to go, oh, look at this, you can actually use an external SSD. How cool is that? I think I did mention in that video there are issues to do with the file management and stuff. However, the reason why I've done that video is because you have no option. You have to do this if you want to move the files. It just so happens that now people can understand what's going to happen with anything that's a decent size. And believe me, 3 gigabytes is absolutely nothing. Anyway, I'm getting off. I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.